So imagine you're talking with your friend Ron. He tells you that he just broke up with his girlfriend. As a good friend, you want to be there for him. You also know they had a complicated relationship, so you are not quite sure how he feels about the breakup. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? In order to be supportive, you have to understand his emotion. But how can we understand other people's emotion? And how accurate are we really are? Those are the main questions that I investigate in my PhD in neuropsychology under the supervision of Professor Anat Perry. To answer those questions, we need a tool that measures how accurately we understand other people's emotions. To this end, we developed the Hebrew version of the empathic accuracy paradigm. As a first step, we invited participants to the lab. We asked them to share with us a real autobiographical emotional stories from their life. Now I'm going to show you a short example of one of those videos. During the video, please try to think which element can help you to understand this woman's emotion.
אני זוכרת שכמה בנים בכיתה הציקו לי. אני לא זוכרת בדיוק למה הם הציקו לי או בדיוק מה בדיוק היה שם, ואני זוכרת שהם כאילו היו מסביבי, אני ישבתי שם על איזה כיסא, ואו שהם צעקו בקול ממש רם, או שהם כאילו דיברו אליי לא יפה. הייתה לי תחושה מאוד מאוד לא נעימה, וזיהיתי ילד אחד כילד הדומיננטי, שאולי הוא היה הכי קרוב אליי, או שהוא הכי הציק לי, או... הוא היה הכי לא נעים, ובאיזשהו שלב פשוט באתי אליו ונשכתי אותו בצוואר.
As you could see, this was a complex story. There are a lot of different elements that could potentially help you to understand this woman's emotion. For instance, her facial expression, her body movement, her tone of voice, and even the things that she said. All of those elements, separately and together, can help us understand other people's emotion. But because it was part of an experiment, we didn't have to guess how those storytellers felt. We just had to ask them. To this end, we let those storytellers to watch their own video. During each video, we asked them to continuously rate how they felt at each moment of the video. This results in this type of continuous rating. We also want to know to what degree they felt different specific emotion. So at the end of each video, we also ask them to rate to what degree they felt anger, disgust, happiness, and so on. I want to remind you that our goal was to create a tool that measures how accurately we understand other people's emotions. So we can take the video that we created here and show them to a new set of participants, the listener. The goal of those listeners is to infer the storytelling emotions, both with the continuous rating during the video and the specific emotion rating at the end of each video. And by comparing the listener rating to the storyteller, we can assess how accurately they were in inferring the storyteller emotion. So now that we have those two measurements of accuracy, we can ask the next question. What are the most important elements that help us to understand other people's emotion? Let's go back to the example from before. Your friend Ron just texted you that he broke up with his girlfriend. Your first goal is to understand his emotion, so you will know how to react. In order to get more details, what should you do? Call him by phone or use a video call? Intuitively, we feel that seeing the other facial expression is essential for our ability to understand their emotion. By that logic, we will predict that using a video call will increase our ability to understand our own emotion. And this is exactly what we want to investigate in the next experiment. We use the same paradigm that I presented you before, and now we show the videos under three conditions. The video-only condition, in which participants could only see the storyteller. The audio-only condition, in which participants could only hear the storyteller. And the audio plus video condition, in which participants could both see and hear the storyteller. So now for the result. In the y-axis, you will see the accuracy level. In the x-axis, you will see the different viewing condition. If we look at the video-only condition, we can see the accuracy level is above 0, above chance. This implies that seeing the other facial expression, it did help to some degree to understand their emotion. However, if we are looking at the audio-only condition, we can see the accuracy level is higher. So in the competition between those two modalities, hearing is winning. Hearing is more important than seeing the other facial expression. But what would be the result when we could both see and hear the storyteller? We would assume that having twice the information will result in the highest accuracy, right? Here is when we got surprised. While the audio plus video condition indeed result in higher accuracy compared to the video-only condition, there was no difference between the audio plus video condition compared to the audio-only condition. This implies that auditory information is sufficient for accurately understand the other emotion. That seeing the other facial expression do not add additional information to what we gain from hearing them speak. The result was very, very surprising for us, and we want to replicate them. And indeed we did. We replicate them in another EEG study with Israeli participants. We replicate them in another EEG study with US participants, with different set of stimuli in different language, in different culture. We even replicate it with stroke patients, with brain lesion. So we replicate the result again and again and again in different populations, in different culture. So if we go back to the example from before, should we call our friend Ron on a video call? The answer is that if we simply want to understand him, a simple call phone will be sufficient. So we are still puzzled. Why do we want and even need to see each other during social interaction? Why do we feel it's so important to see each other? One possible explanation is that in the previous study that I presented, the storyteller wasn't really present. And when two people are present in the same place, in the same time, facial expressions do play a significant role in understanding the other emotions. Another alternative explanation is that seeing each other affects other components of the interaction, and specifically the affective component of the interaction, the sense of togetherness, the sense of being listened to, the sense of being empathized with. And this is what I want to investigate in the next experiment. So to this end, we took the empathic accuracy one step forward. And instead of showing participants videos of people telling stories about their life, we conducted a live dyadic interaction study over the Zoom. We recruited 240 participants and assigned them to pairs. We asked one participant in each pair to tell the others autobiographical emotional stories from his life. Half of the pair conducted this conversation with their camera on, so they could both see and hear one another. The other half conducted this conversation with their camera off, so they could only hear one another. After the conversation, both participants answered a number of questions about their affective experience. For instance, the storyteller answered a number of questions about to what degree he felt empathized with, to what degree he felt listened to, and to what degree he felt sense of togetherness. Now for the result. In blue, you will see the result for the audio plus video condition, and in orange, you will see the result for the audio-only condition. If you look at the audio for the empathy result, you can see that the listener reported on similar level of empathy in both conditions. However, the storyteller felt that the listener were more empathetic in the audio plus video condition compared to the audio-only condition. Similar results have been found for the listening. While the listener reported on similar level of listening in both conditions, the storyteller felt that the listener were more attentive in the audio plus video condition compared to the audio-only condition. And for the sense of togetherness, both the storyteller and the listener reported on greater sense of togetherness in the audio plus video condition compared to the audio-only condition. All of those results together imply that seeing the other facial expression indeed hold a great importance for the affective experience of the interaction. But there are many open questions that I'm still investigating. For instance, how eye contact and eye gaze affect those behaviors. what is the neural network that supports those behaviors, and how those behaviors manifest in clinical population, such as people with autism and people with ADHD. So to conclude, it seemed like seeing the other facial expression is not important or not held a great importance for understanding the other emotions. However, it does help and increase the affective experience of the interaction and the quality of the interaction. So my take-home message for you is, if you simply want to understand your friend, calling them by phone will be enough. But if you want to make them feel better, more close to you, more love, make the effort and open your camera. Thank you for listening and seeing.
Hi, I'm Ruti from Haifa University. I wanted to ask about texting. Do you?
So this is a great question. We are not going to use texting, but we are indeed going to do the same paradigm with text, especially with autistic participants. There aren't a lot of literature about how texting affects our ability to understand one another, but as it's growing, like in the real life, it's starting to show up in the research. Yes, this is our next step is to do it in texting.
Hi, thank you. Here.
Okay.
I'm Jonathan from the Weizmann Institute. In the first part, when you presented the accuracy of someone's validating other people's emotion, how do you benchmark the ground truth of what the person truly feels? Do you rely on their self-report as a reliable, benchmarking?
So this is another excellent question, and this is something that we're actually debating on. What is the ground truth? Should we rely on the storyteller rating to know they know how they felt, or maybe we need to use like the average rating from a lot of participants? So we actually do both. Sometimes we use this, sometimes we use that, and for different like question. But mostly I'm using the storyteller rating because it's what's the most relevant in social interaction. It's not really important, or maybe less important, what I'm really feeling, and more important than what I think I'm feeling for our quality of the interaction. It could be debatable. We can talk about it later.
Hi, great talk. Going back to the first part of using taking like the vocal part versus the have you tried to decompose the verbal part into, so you can like decompose it into the intonation and like to the actual what does the actual content?
So this is again another excellent question. The problem in changing the intonation or just extracting the intonation is that you can't really do just this. When you change the intonation, when you give like a robot voice to the text, you don't just change the intonation and leave the text. You give a new intonation to the text, and this new intonation is not just removing the old one, but giving a new meaning to all the content. So we thought about it a lot, and we don't have the right solution to do it like in a way that will help me understand something about the phenomena in the real world. But this is definitely something that we thought about like for a year and a half.
Hi, my name is Lisa Fati. Thank you for very interesting talk. I just wanted to ask, what are the controlling variables? Like, are you controlling like emotion intelligence?
So there are a lot of different things that can affect a result, and controlling all of them is not possible because our experiments happen with humans. To recruit 240 participants, it's hard. So we limited our like thing that we can control on, but we control for sex, we control for like empathy abilities with different questionnaire. I have to say that I am not so fond on this method. I think that there is a lot of problem in the way that we measure like those things. How can we measure emotional intelligence? I don't have the best tool. If you have any idea, I would be happy to hear.
Hi, Tamara Mishav from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So you talked about how important it is for the listener to be seen and heard and empathized with. And then you talked about future directions of being, it looked like to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, like more of like understanding what's happening in the communication, so like autism and ADHD and eye fixation. And I wanted to know if you're interested in examining also how it affects well-being or mental illness. Like I'm thinking about people with depression, that the more they're listened to and the more they're empathized with, the more they're able to function in life. So is that also a direction or something that you're looking at in your lab?
So again, another excellent question. I don't think that I will have the time in my PhD to examine this board, because I'm doing a lot of things, but this is a fascinating and like subject that need like someone fully focus on. I think that is super helpful if you are talking about clinical populations, people with depression. But I definitely like also I show you just some of the results, like a really small sample of the results that I have. We have also measurement of well-being and sort like other things that I didn't show you in the study on like people from the general population and not clinical population. But yeah, this is a fascinating subject.
Hey, thank you for a wonderful talk. My name is Orfesen Pilpul from Tel Aviv University. I have two small questions. One is what is the rationale for the same-sex pairing? And the other is, have you happened to examine people with disabilities that rely only on the audio sense? And what was the result, if so? Thank you.
Okay, two very interesting questions. I will start with the second. I actually have experience with people with blindness. I don't have the result yet. We recruited something like 15 participants, which is really small. So we are still in the process of collecting data. But yeah, this is fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to look at the result. Your first question about the pairing. So when there is a social interaction, we try to control about the different variables that can affect our result. And I think that like when two people are from different sex, there could be like sexual tension or interest that I want to eliminate for this specific experiment, so I could control more variables. But it's very interesting. We also asked participants about the sexual orientation and preference, so we could control on this, like, but there weren't a lot of people to control for. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. It's a great talk. I'm Hagit from Tel Aviv University, and I wonder, in your experience, as I understood, the listener is passive, nor asking questions, nor adding anything to the talk, to the story that is told. But so, do you think that if the listener would add something to the talk or ask questions, it would affect his way to understand the emotions of the storyteller?
Another excellent question, and this is exactly what we are doing now. Like we are doing actually the Zoom experience that I presented. It was just one part of two experiments. And we are doing now the third one, where we let the listener to ask questions, to tell about themselves, and we want to investigate how this affects about the result. And what we did a pilot study with 30 pairs, and we found that the result remained the same. So I will not like be very, very, I'm not convinced that this is what's happening. I want to, we are now starting a new study, not a pilot study, a full study with 240 participants that I would be happy to collaborate with whoever will want to help me to recruit participants. And I'm really looking forward to see what the results will be.
Thank you very much. That was the last question. Thank you.